Okay guys, so let's plant some onions. So I'm going to show you how we plant our bulbs and our bunching onions. So I got these net pots here and I ordered these on Amazon. And they're a little bit different from the first net pots I bought. They have these big spaces in the bottom that's not going to hold your grit very well. So what we're going to do is either put some larger gravel in the bottom or put a cotton ball in the bottom to kind of hold the grit in. So I think we'll start out with these green onions, these bunching onions, and we'll put a cotton ball in the bottom on this one. So let's do it first. We just got a regular cotton ball here and I just got it wet, and I'm just going to stick it in the bottom just to cover up those larger holes. That way our grit don't fall through. And I'll take one of our onions, our bunching onions here, green onions. I'm just going to take it and set it right down on top of the cotton ball. Kind of hold it in with my fingers. And then take our grit here. And we're just going to fill it to the top. And we're putting these in our modified deep water culture / crack key style beds here. And what these are is just 1x4 slats that I've drilled 2-inch holes in the board itself, and then I put a 2-inch spacing in between all the boards. That way I can put a net pot, either a 2-inch net pot, either in the hole, or I can put it in between, so I can grow a whole lot of plants, or I can start a whole lot of plants in a small amount of space, as you can see. And what this does too is, I'll try to get a picture of this here. If you put that net pot in the water, you can see how just a little bit of the net pot is sticking in the water, just barely, and then I got quite a bit of airspace in between, and that's where the crack key style comes in. That way I don't have to run a bunch of air pumps and stuff like that and have that expensive running air pumps. It gives the plant a space to get oxygen and get their water from. So this grit is real good at wicking up the water, so that's why we use it to start with. And it's not going to make your plant too wet, and it's going to give it the oxygen that it needs so it doesn't actually drown, or these onions won't rot. So we're going to put that in there, and then we're going to cut the video and we'll show you how we do the bulbs. Okay, so for the bulbs here, instead of using cotton balls, we're just going to use some larger gravel in the bottom, about halfway full of the larger gravel. And then we just got our bulb here, and I want to make sure that it sits on there flat. So what I'm going to do is just take this bulb, set it right down in on top of the gravel, and then take my grit here and just finish putting the onion in with the grit. And then we're going to put that in our deep water culture too. That's really all there is to planting them. The one thing about these bulbs that you're going to notice is, here's one that I previously planted. Now what's going to happen, these are going to start soaking up the water, and they're going to actually push themselves up and almost out of the net pot. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. That's going to be perfectly fine. And what you want to do is just have that onion actually growing actually on top of the net pot instead of down in there. And we'll just see how big these onions get. This is kind of an experiment with these onions, on these bulb onions, to see how big we can actually grow them in a 2-inch net pot. So what I'm hoping that they do is actually grow on top, as you see here. I'll just go ahead and pull this one out. You can see, let me wash it off. You can see how well this one's already rooted. And it's actually gonna grow itself on top of the net pot. And I'm gonna let them get as big as the net pot can support. I'm hoping it's bigger than 2 inches, but if it's only 2 inches, then that's when we'll harvest them. So we'll just kind of go along here and do some updated videos on these bulb onions just to see how well and how big they're going to grow in these net pots. So there you go. So we wanted to show everybody how we plant out our potatoes. So what we got here is a little area where we got about 6 inches of some old grass hay that we had laying around for a couple of years, and that's what we use to plant our potatoes in. So what we're going to do is just take our potatoes, and what we've done is we've cut them in half or thirds or whatever, just to keep an eye on them, and then we gave them a couple of days to let them heal up where they don't rot. That's kind of what's recommended on the bag, is to cut them and then let them heal up a little bit before you plant them. So basically all we have to do is, Tammy's got a hole dug here, is just take your potato and dig you a little hole to you hit the top of the soil. And you're not digging down into the ground whatsoever. You're just laying the potato right on top of the ground. And then just take your hay and just cover the thing up. Now, this is a real simple method of planting your potatoes out. You don't have to till or dig or hoe or rake or weed or hardly water at all. It works real well. And it's officially named the Ruth Stout method, is how we came across it. The first time we tried it was last year. And so whenever you pull your potatoes out and go to harvest your potatoes, all you have to do is just move the hay back, and the potatoes will be right in the hay. So no digging required.
I was real skeptical about doing this method. The first time we did it, I thought, oh, that won't work. That's not very conventional. But I'm telling you, every plant that we pulled up out of the ground had at least 5 pounds of potatoes on it.
Yeah, so the ease of production and the ease of growth and the amount of potatoes that you get is really phenomenal for the amount of work that you have to do. And it kind of goes along with the theme of our whole garden style, which is, you know, we don't want to do any more work than we have to do. We like to work with nature and not against it. So that's what we're doing here. We're not killing anything, or we're not killing ourselves basically to get these potatoes in and growing. So that's pretty much it.
Well, we both have full-time jobs too, so, you know, we don't have the time to come out here and till and weed and use valuable water that is very expensive, when all you have to do is plant them and let them go. Last year, I think I watered 2 times the whole season, and that was it.
Right, so like we mentioned before, the climate here in western Oklahoma is very, very dry. And that's the main reason why we grow with aquaponics, and that's the main reason why we're growing our potatoes with this, is just because the climate and the water situation, and this hay holds the water real well, and there's very little, if any, watering that has to be done on these potatoes. So we'll keep you updated on how they're growing throughout the year. We'll get one more in the ground here. And there we go. If you like the video, please subscribe and we'll bring you some more.